Mike, would you let me hand it over here?
I got eerily quiet in here.
Rick, very good budget. Thank you. Good job.
It's good.
No one was available to complain about they didn't get enough, so I assume.
That was a good thing. We'll look at that in 4 months. No, I haven't got it yet.
I'm going to call the committee to hold to order. Tuesday, August 23rd, 2005.
Just check me, check.
Right at 6:05 p.m.
Did you have it done yet?
Councilman Lawson is present. Councilman Hard, Vice Mayor Bell, Councilman Porter, Councilwoman Wallman, and I know Councilman Gahn is soon to show up.
She's in the building.
She's in the building. Item 2A is the approval of the August 9th, 2005 minutes. The motion for approval?
Motion.
Moved by Mr. Hart, second by Vice Mayor Bell. Any questions on the minutes? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item 2B is the resolution to develop a comprehensive truancy plan. Vice Mayor Bell.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, this is an issue that was brought to me just a couple of months ago, and since then we've had 2 meetings on the issue of truancy. And truancy has become so severe in our community that it's affecting the FCAT scores, it's affecting crime, it's just affecting it's pretty much affecting not only the quality of life of some of the citizens, but it's affecting the future of these students themselves. So I met, and I actually contacted the police department, Captain Kennedy, Captain Bowe, and we began coordinating meetings, and we've actually only had 2 meetings. And school board staff is very excited that we've taken such an interest in that. It's unusual for cities to tackle such an issue on their own and take it on. So we've only had 2 meetings, and we're already getting fabulous support from the school board, from staff. We have had 2 roundtable meetings with school principals, police department, myself, SOS, Weed and Seed, just 2 members of school police, and as I said, school board staff. And so we're putting forth a resolution tonight to go before, to go from here to go before the school board, saying that the City of Homestead wants to be proactive in the area of truancy. And the resolution reads, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Miami-Dade County, Florida, authorizing the City Council of Homestead to partner with Miami-Dade County Public School Board to develop a comprehensive truancy plan and provide for an effective date.
Motion.
Moved by Mr. Hard, second by the Vice Mayor.
Question.
Question, Ms. Wallman.
Yes, I'm all for battling truancy. I think it's wonderful. But, Ms. Dahl, I have a couple of questions, and maybe you can help answer them. You know, since I've been out, I know that there's probably been some discussion that I wasn't privy to. So please forgive me if I ask questions that are redundant. I know that when we do a resolution like this, I just feel that it's a little open-ended. I'd like to know what kind of responsibilities are going to be placed upon the city as far as costs go. I know I've had several taxpayers call me and say to me, well, we already pay X amount of dollars to the school board in tax. And I know I know just on my residence, I pay over $1,000 in school board taxes. So, you know, I'm very concerned about this. I had a conversation with a couple of the police officers, and they tell me that, and what happened to the chief? Is he gone? Oh, he's in the hallway. Well, anyway, I had a couple conversations with police, and they tell me that they're just maxed out, you know, that they don't have any more time. But at the same time, I know that I also had a conversation with some members of the school board today, and they tell me that they would like to see us enter into an agreement with them. I told them my concerns about the budget, not having enough police to go around as it was, and they asked me if we had any, and Mr. Porter, you might want to help me with this. They asked me if we had reserve officers that needed a job. And I said, well, I'm not sure what their intentions are, but I'm sure that there are many reserve officers that are just waiting for a job. So they had suggested that perhaps the school board could put forth the nickel and hire a couple of our reserve officers, putting them on staff as the truancy officers, relieving the responsibility of our Homestead PD as it is now. And I'm just concerned about and I support it, but I just was concerned about the open, how it's just so open here in the resolution, and perhaps maybe, I don't know who wrote it, maybe Richard could comment on this as well, but could we put some more language just to protect our city? Because I don't want the city to have liability, people coming at us in a year from now saying, okay, you promised to do this, this, and this, and now we want from you this, this, and this. I just want to make sure.
I'd like to answer you. The resolution is worded exactly as it should read, and it's not open-ended, it's closed-ended, and it's just simply just saying that the City of Homestead is going to partner with Miami-Dade County, and we're going to start something. Has nothing to do with the budget, has zero impact on the budget. We're utilizing the officers that already do this now. This is part of, we have officers that deal with the community, just like we have community resource officers. SOS is already doing what they do. Weed and Seed already does what they do. Captain Bo already works with the community. We already have so many projects in place. It's just kind of partnering and taking, probably, I would say, working smart as well as hard. And it really has zero impact on the budget. It's not even a budget item. It's not even related to budget. Police officers are already picking up truants. They're picking them up all over the city, and they're dropping them off at the closest school. That's what they're supposed to do. That's part of their job. So my answer to your question is the resolution must stay exactly as it is. It's worded like this purposefully, and it needs to stay just like it is. It's been very well thought out, and actually, not only is this not going to cost us anything, but I anticipate grants. And I've already gotten a phone call, and it's very, very exciting, where I was told, now we don't have the money in yet, and I hate to even say anything until we have it in hand, but I was told by one person that they've been hoping and praying for 3 years to get something done in the area of truancy. And pretty much since I stepped in, we've had 2 meetings that we're working on something very exciting, and we could get a substantially large grant to tackle this issue. So not only is it not costing us anything budgetary, anything in the budget at all, but it may benefit us as far as grants so that we can actually tackle the problem and be given grants from Miami-Dade County as well as state of Florida. So stay tuned, folks, but the wording must stay the same.
Well, may I answer that? Because I did have a conversation with Evelyn Greer today, and her response to me, I asked her if it was, if they were expecting us to, because I know we have all these programs in place with the SOS, and I know that. I mean, we've been discussing this for years, but at the same time, they do expect us, and this came right from the commissioner's mouth. They do expect us to bump up our police. And it's just a concern of mine. And like I said, I haven't been here, and I haven't been able to talk to anybody. But I just want to make sure, maybe Chief Rowe, you can address that, or Mr. Porter.
Well, I did actually have a conversation with Evelyn Greer as well. And when the first meeting that we had, in the second meeting we had with, first meeting Chief Rowe was involved, in the second meeting Captain Edbo and Captain Kennedy were there, and as we had members of the school board police there as well as, and it was a very wonderful roundtable discussion, and we're going to tackle this issue, and quite frankly it is a school board issue, but it's an issue that we're going to take on. City of Homestead is going to assume a responsibility because it affects us. But as we sat around the table, we had school board police there, we had everybody there, and this is something that we do, and it's not anything more on the budget. And quite frankly, I'm really confused about the line of questioning, because what we're trying to do is just simply implement plans and policies that are going to maybe use what's already in place, but use them smarter and wiser to tackle a problem that's been needing to be tackled, and basically, except for our police departments rounding them up and dropping them at the closest school and then having that school to coordinate the pickup for that child, we actually have some planning to do. And this just enables us to formulate a plan. That's all it does. It goes back to Miami-Dade County. It says, look, we're serious about this issue. Let's sit down and make a plan. And that's all this is about, is sitting down and making a plan. And it is not, I mean, I don't know how many more ways I can say this, but it's not going to affect the budget.
You know, the section...
Let me say something, Richard, for you. From my reading of the resolution, we are authorizing the vice mayor and a committee and this council, of course, ultimately to form a partnership with Miami-Dade School Board reference the concern of truancy. Come up with a comprehensive plan. Now, I hope in the comprehensive plan we address the impact it will have on the city homestead. If there's financial resources involved, this council will have to approve it. And I would hope that the vice mayor and the committee would take that under consideration. If it's involved money, we have to come back to the council for approval. What impact on the existing resources that we have available? How will it impact SOS? How will it impact any other department of the city? I think all those issues will be discussed, and once a comprehensive plan is developed, it will come back for us to approve,
Of course.
and for the school board to approve.
Of course.
And certainly, as we look at limited resources and as we discuss our budget and the impact it will have, then we would make the right call. So what I'm hearing, Vice Mayor, is that we are authorizing the development of a comprehensive plan to deal with the truancy issue. So we're not authorizing any use of any resources of the city.
There's no budget item mentioned in here.
There's nothing right now. You're going to come up with the plan, bring it back to the council, and we will make a final determination whether we want to embrace the plan, add, subtract, what have you. So let's wait on the plan, and then we'll review the plan, and then we'll take something out, put something in, add to, subtract, and I'm sure the school board will do the exact same thing, and we hope we will come up with something that we both could live with.
I think perhaps...
Do I have it?
I think perhaps what is... Section 1 does exactly what you say. Section 2 authorizes the manager to execute documents on behalf of the city, and maybe as a position that would make everybody comfortable if those documents came back to the council, asked for approval. Yeah. That way the council...
It will.
The resolution just needs to be modified. Section 2 needs to just... Again, I don't know how critical it is to your conversations with the school board, but I think it's intended that if there are any documents that need to be executed, that they would come back to the council for approval. That way you could deal with, grants.
No problem.
So I think maybe if you remove Section 2, it would that way things would have to come back to the council as opposed to giving the manager authority just to sign any documents that are necessary. And I think it carries out what you're trying to do. And
Sure, not a problem.
so if somebody would move to amend, to remove Section 2.
I would amend my motion to remove Section 2.
Is there a second by the Vice Mayor?
Yes.
Moved and second by the Vice Mayor that we remove Section 2 of the resolution. Comment, Mr. Porter?
Let me just say that as we go forward with this, for about a year and a half, we've been trying to get in the PD some efforts forward on code enforcement. We've been trying to get some efforts forward in making a rental policy, enforcing our rental policy, which allows us to hire code officers to go out and police the rental units, whether they're single family or or apartment complexes. We made a mid-year budget adjustment of almost $1 million last year to put extra police officers on the street. The numbers don't match up right now for what we have in our future. We haven't been able to address the code enforcement issue. We haven't been able to address the rental issue. And as we go forward, I would like to see us, as a PD, be able to address some of the things that we've been working on for a year or better, or maybe even longer, before we strap on something, that's going to be, whether we're doing it in a fashion that's acceptable to the school board or not. There's still, there's got to be a creative way that we look at this, and I want us to tread very comfortably and very lightly when we go forward, and basically adding an unfunded mandate on the PD, that we're having unfunded mandates passed down to us on a day-to-day basis. We can't arrest people because we have to pay for their court costs. There's a serious amount of issues that the PD is facing. So as we go forward, let's just be careful with this, and let's just make sure that we don't overburden an already overburdened system in the PD. And that's just my concern with this. I'm open for the thoughts, but let's just be clear, we haven't solved some of the issues that have been on this dais for at least 2 years. And it all boils down to money, it all boils down to manpower, which we're short on both, and the city's continuously growing. So, Mayor, I would ask that we certainly, run it back through very, very diligently, and compare it to the other issues that have been pressing us for a very long time. I know Mr. Lossner has been looking for something in code enforcement. I know Ms. Garner is working on issues in code enforcement. We've been working with Rick Shonda to try to get something built in so that we can do some policing. So, let's be very careful when we go forward.
I think, Mr. Porter, too, my support of this will be continued upon what comes back from the comprehensive plan that will be presented at some point, because I think part of the discussion around the table will be the city is interested in being involved in the truancy program within the city limits, continued upon there's grant opportunities available to underwrite the cost, maybe to hire police to focus on truancy, or that the school board pay the cost for the office of the car, liability, and all that to pursue it. I mean, I'm sure there could be a lot of issues and ideas put on the table by the Vice Mayor and the committee and others involved with this, and I'm certain the PD that we love to be a partner with you, but there's maybe a cost involved, and how do we work around the cost? And certainly my suggestion would be that we put the burden on the school board to identify the resources, but it all depends upon how it's going to be structured. So I don't know until the plan come back. Let's just hold our comments and our concerns about the financial impact. Is I think with a $5.6 billion budget that they may be able to find the money to do it, and I'm sure we'll put that on the table. That we want to be a partner. If there's a cost involved, where the money is going to come from. Those issues could be part of developing a comprehensive plan. Vice Mayor?
Thank you. I am amazed at the questioning and the line of questioning tonight. I am amazed. A problem is brought to me, a councilwoman. So often in this community, problems are brought where nothing is done. I have a meeting, I have a second meeting. We're going to tackle this. Nobody's presenting any answers tonight. This is simply to get together and devise a plan. If that is worrisome or troublesome to this council, then we have a problem. This is to devise a plan, doing exactly what council people should do. I'm tackling a problem, and I'm going to continue. Nobody mentioned anything about money or budget. When I sat in that meeting with the police department and the school board police, I directed my comments to the school board police, to school board staff, and said, this police department is expended to its limits. As we hired so many more, we are taxed to our limits. We are not looking to expend our resources. We are looking for help. There comes an element of trust when somebody is tasked with a certain task. There comes an element of trust from one council member to the next. I don't think anybody would think I'm going to bring anything to this council wherein I'm going to be taxing our funds. I'm actually going to be looking for funds to support this and pay for it. I would think that everybody would know that. So, I am going to continue in this. This is a simple resolution, very uncomplicated, that simply says we're going to partner with the Miami-Dade County Public Schools just to develop a plan. That's all it says. Nothing more and nothing less. I cannot believe the conversation that it has generated tonight. You don't often see me this mad, and usually it's a good thing the television cameras are off because I'm a little ticked off right now. If someone brings me a problem, and it was Evelyn Greer who brought me the problem, I'm going to tackle it because that's my job. If it makes people uncomfortable, I'm sorry. If there's other issues that need to be dealt with, let's deal with them. But I'm not going to compromise on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Any other comments? Let's vote on the amendment. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the main motion? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Hodge?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Bell?
Yes.
Councilman Porter?
Yes.
Councilwoman Garner? Yes. Councilwoman Waldman? Yes. Mayor Warren?
Yes.
Motion carries.
I'm here too.
I'm sorry, Councilman Bosner.
Well, I thought you were about to promote me. I'll take it. Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, item 2C is the Chamber of Commerce and the Lillyville Library, tab 3.
Mr. Mayor and Council, it's staff recommendation that they be allowed to negotiate a lease between the Homestead, Florida City Chamber of Commerce and the city for the Chamber's use of the Lily Lawrence Bow Library in the same manner that they're currently using our old City Hall. The library, as you know, has been unoccupied, which is not good for it. It deteriorates when it's not used and kept up. We're looking at doing some adjustments to it, which we were going to do anyway, that cost $130,000 out of the CRA budget. Those involve sidewalks, creating a parking area, installing some drainage and some lighting, period lighting there for the building. Some landscape. I think it's a good place for the chamber, and I think it's a good use for our building. We've been letting it sit there unoccupied.
Motion.
So that's staff's recommendation.
Moved by Mr. Councilman Hodge, is there a second by the Vice Mayor. Make sure you charge them a big rent for Wiz Mary.
Just sign it. We'll fill it in later.
Maybe double their present rent.
Yeah, I think it's a good mix. Any discussion on this?
Very pleased about it.
Mr. Losner?
Thank you, Mayor. You know, I don't know how long ago it was that we saved that library from being privatized to a homeowners association. I know we've kicked around a lot of ideas, and I was very pleased when Mr. Stouts contacted me some time ago about this idea. I think it is a perfect fit. It's a good civic use for our very own, very historic civic building, and I shared with Rick, and the only thing I would add is we want to make sure that the lease provides that whatever's done inside will not interfere with the architectural and historic integrity of what I think and what I understand is still inside the building, very unique with the mahogany bookcases and trim work and so forth. And I know the Chamber's sensitive to that as well, but I would really look forward to that big move. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Lawson. Any other comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item 2C is the right-of-way dedication at Southwest 328th Street, Maury Drive at the Homestead 50 Plan Unit Development. Tab 4.
Mr. Mayor and Council, first of all, I'd like to make a clarification on the green sheet. The rest of the information is correct. It's 320th Street, not 328th Street.
Okay.
Maury Drive. Staff's recommending approval of the proposed right-of-way dedication. This comes with a project, a Homestead 50, PUD application had requested that the city initially vacate a 20-foot portion of a 100-foot right-of-way we have running past even the length of that project. In further discussion and looking at the property and discussing this vacation, the city staff decided that it would not be prudent for the city to give up that right-of-way. And in that process of discussing and negotiating that issue with the builder, we found out that the right-of-way somewhat narrowed in front of that Homestead 50 property, and narrowed to 87.5, and they had the right-of-way of 37.5 feet. So in further negotiations, and they were very cooperative, they have agreed to dedicate to us 12.5 feet, which would, so we can maintain that 100-foot right-of-way consistently along that Maury Drive there. And what we've done in response to that is they're going to put their landscaping. We've allowed them to do landscaping and entry feature. We've worked out an arrangement there that they have agreed to and appear satisfied with, and we're satisfied with this.
That's good. Is there a motion for approval?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Hodge. Is there a second?
Second, Mayor.
Second by Mr. Porter. Any question on the dedication?
Mr. Mayor, Steve Schreiber, 47 North Chrome, for the applicant. We are willing to work with the city in the dedication, but just for the record, as Kurt had mentioned, the manager had mentioned, the right-of-way, we need to be closer probably than normal to that right-of-way with our landscape buffer. All of our entry feature and plans for stacking and our traffic patterns and flow in and out of the development need to be addressed. The city has indicated that they would work with us to ensure that that would not be an issue. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone understood clearly that this is the application that we began in 2003, and because of the homeowners and everything that we worked with in trying to come up with a plan that everybody was accepted by everyone, we're very happy to continue to work with the city, but I just want to make sure that we are all on the same page when it comes to those entry features and the stacking issues that may come from the roadway. Now, you have 100 feet on Maury. This will give you 100 feet of right-of-way. North Canal doesn't have 100 feet in front of the villages. So you have a large right-of-way there. So I think that we'll be able to do something very nice there.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments?
Mayor, sorry.
Ms. Warren?
As I understand this, it says the applicant has agreed to dedicate to the city above referenced property in order to preserve the 100-foot row along Maury. So I just wanted that to go on the record. I don't know what happened to him. Oh, there we go. that as I understand this, that they have dedicated this property to the city.
Any other comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Good. 2D is a dark fiber lease to Advantage Group of Florida Communications and resolution.
Mr. Mayor and Council, it's staff recommendation to lease 3 pair of fiber, 6 fiber strands, of the City of Homestead's dark fiber optic cable to Advantage Group of Florida Communications for supplying telephone and data services. Just an explanation, when we talk about dark fiber, we're talking about there's no equipment attached to the fiber that we own right now, and the city's strategy was to lease out dark fiber and let people who are in the business put the equipment, which is expensive, technical, and changes periodically, frequently in the life of things. Technology changes, as you know, so we decided to lease dark fiber. Now, these 3 pair, let me say something about the company. Advanced Group is what they call a CLEC, or Competitive Local Exchange Carrier. And they are allowed, and they're licensed by the FCC and by the state of Florida to provide these phone services, data transmission in the state of Florida. The fiber optic ring, of course you remember we have our grant, and we lost our participating party in the grant. We're in the process of getting a participating party. This does not qualify as a participating party. We're in the process now of preparing an invitation to negotiate. We have two parties that are vying for this particular ring to become the participating party. We're putting that together. They'll be negotiating. Both parties were aware that these three pair were going to be leased out and had no objection to that. And shortly, we'll be putting out the invitation to negotiate. And we need to move quickly because our term is up in December and we have to ask for another renewal on the grant. So we're going to move quickly on that. Getting back to this particular offer, it's 3 pairs of fiber. The revenue to the city is $14,400 annually. There's a $3,000 startup fee. The term of the agreement is for 2 years with a 1-year continuation. Then when we end up with a participating party, the city would be agreeable to an assignment of this contract to whoever takes over the fiber. And another important item here that this company is doing, which is helpful to the city, and that is they're maintaining. That's probably even more important than the lease payments. They're maintaining this fiber. They will fix make any repairs that need to be made. They will also do locations of the fiber. With all the building we're going on out there now, we have this fiber in the ground. We're getting a lot of requests for notifications, which the city electric department has been doing. This will take the burden off of them, and this CLEC will be doing the locates for us. We think this is a good deal for us, and
I'll move the recommendation with a question.
Moved by Mr. Porter, second by Mr. Hodge. Mr. Porter, question.
How many pairs of fiber are in that system?
we've got 48 fiber.
48
fibers.
48 pair or?
No.
Okay.
48 fibers.
48 fibers. Okay, thank you.
24 pair.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Real quick. I'm trying to do the math and talk at the same time.
I'm not
working well.
Any other questions? Mr. Logan?
I understand. I've had conversations with both of the parties that I guess are prospectively going to answer your invitation to negotiate the management of the fiber ring. I guess my question is does this agreement piecemeal out the ring so that maybe management is that's one of first of many questions, piecemeal it out so that management becomes more difficult or subject to more issues on the ring?
I think the intent of the city will be assigning this contract to whoever gets the ring, and we're not anticipating that being a problem. Mark, do you have any comment on that? Mark's handled the negotiations for us.
Actually, in the contract itself, it states in there that if a third party comes in to take over the management agreement of the ring, this company that's leasing the fiber will have to work through them, and they will give up the maintenance part that they are doing. So that would default to whoever's managing the ring, and therefore they would go ahead and have to pay the managing partner for the maintenance costs.
How have we arrived at the annual fee? I mean, I have no idea if this or $140,000 a year is fair. We look to other communities or other fiber rings.
We looked, and I'll let Mark say something in a minute here on that as well. We looked at a number of, there's a spread of pricing per fiber mile, per fiber mile that we looked at, and there's a negotiated value. Remember what we got our fiber ring for also, and that was to develop, to have an infrastructure there, have businesses come in, have that infrastructure available for them. It was for business development. It was not mainly for revenue for the city at that time. Now, we will make some revenue off of this at the end of the day, but Mark, you want to add anything on the price?
Mr. Losner, we've always used the approximate $50 per fiber per mile for straight fiber leasing. The price that we are charging these people is significantly less because of the maintenance agreement. If we were to lease them this fiber, and if they were to go ahead and take it at $50 per fiber per mile, we would have to contract with somebody to go ahead and be on call to fix this on a very, very short notice. There is really nobody locally in the area that we have talked to, Mastech, who built it, chose not to participate in that. So they're taking, for this period, until we get a full-time managing partner in there, they're taking a tremendous burden off of us, because this is our overhead fiber and our underground fiber as well.
And the only other entity using the fiber, any of the pairs now is the city, is that correct? The police department and our communications?
That's correct.
We're also, in the overhead fiber, we're also providing high-speed services to FICO Williams Community Center.
No.
Internet.
And we all know that I'm not technologically there, technologically challenged. Can you give me an example of well, let's say we pass this contract tonight. What does that enable the holder of this agreement to do?
Well, and I'm also...
How do they make their money? What service do they provide?
What they will do is start marketing and providing telephone and data services to customers that they market to.
So that's within the ring, and we have I guess a closed ring, if you will. It doesn't ring the whole city, correct?
That's correct. Mark, we have a representative here if you want to hear.
Actually, yes, there's a representative from the company. Michael, if you'd like to go up and answer that.
Sure. Give your name and address also.
Good evening, everybody. Name is Mike Boger. I'm the president of Advantage Group Communication. My address is Memphis, Tennessee. I can't tell, I'm sure. We have a CLEC, competitive local exchange carrier operation. We have an IXC, which is inter-exchange carrier. That's basically long distance. And ISP, which is internet service, broadband services. We provide service right now in Daytona Beach, have since 1998. We have several broadband circuits in that area that allows us to provide broadband services to the community. Broadband services being defined basically as T1 and above. Okay, T1 is 24 channels, and if you have a phone line at home, it's one of those channels would be a telephone line. So most of our services are deployed over either fiber or some type of wireless network. We put in wireless services in Daytona Beach about 3.5 years ago. And I'm kind of glad we did, because when Hurricane Charlie came through, we had the only company that could provide telephone services to the coast. The fiber to us is an important piece, because Bell South is our competitor, of course, and they basically charge us to lease circuits out to customers. By having the fiber, basically what that does for us is it allows us to use our equipment, our electronics, and provide the broadband services, such as T1 services to business customers, to residential customers in this community for a lot less than what Bell South can charge. That's the benefit of having fiber to us. If we offer services in this community and it's through Bell South, well, guess what? They're going to charge us a whole lot more money and dictate who we can serve. So it's what we came to the city with is we would like to offer broadband services, voice over IP, T1 services to the city of Homestead and the residents and businesses. And it came to our attention that they had fiber that had not been used for a number of years. And so we simply offered to lease the fiber, 6 strands to start with. We'll take care of the management of the fiber initially, the maintenance of the fiber, the connection of electronics, the development of the sonic ring, which is necessary for redundancy. The license that we have requires that we are up and running 99.999% of the time. So we can't allow a fiber break to take place and not have some kind of self-healing equipment that will allow the circuits to work in both directions. Also, it's mandatory that we provide reliable services to our customers by the state and by the FCC. So the fiber that's actually a ring would be very important to us because we can put sonic equipment on there that, and I know some of this is technical and you may not fully understand some of the technology that we're talking about, but Sonnet is basically a fiber optic technology that allows a circuit to work in both directions at the same time. And if you have a contractor cuts the cable, it'll continue to work and provide services in both directions at the same time. So the ring is a very important piece to us. In addition to providing the broadband services to the neighborhood, we, as I mentioned, are providing wireless services in Daytona and have been for 3.5 years. And it came up that there may be some need for wireless telephone and data services in the downtown area. But with this fiber ring, we can offer that service to the downtown area. If there's a technology park or something of that nature, we'd like to partner with the city to develop that. I don't know if you've read any of the trades, but the United States is sitting at about number 5 in the world for deployment of broadband services. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Some of it's political. But we'd like to participate with the city of Homestead and deploy these broadband services so that at least this community is not number 5 or number 6 on the list of being able to provide broadband services to its public at large.
Thank you. Two more questions, real quick question. Kurt, is this in any way related to the grant obligations that we have with the job creation and that, or is that an issue that's covered under the negotiation for the management agreement that's covered under the negotiation for the okay. Now, assuming that $14,400 a year is fair, I don't see that there's an annual escalator clause built into that. I mean, our residents have paid increased water and sewer rates every year for cost of living. Our employees get cost of living. Yet, that same economic theory is not built into this agreement.
No, it's not. And even when we do our management agreement, it may be built in, but later on in an effort to encourage people to come here, start from scratch almost, you know, because we have the backbone, but they've got to build out to reach many of their own customers. So again, remember what we had, at least initially, the broadband for, and that was to develop, for economic development, getting people to come in. It wasn't as much of a money maker for the city, or that the intent was not. As a matter of fact, we worked very hard to be able to, under the grant terms, to legally be able to collect any revenue from this activity. This is at the max a 3-year contract. I assume that this gentleman will be dealing with whoever gets the actual management agreement. So we probably won't be dealing with this contract. Of course, you know how it goes around here, Murphy's Law. But we won't be dealing with this contract for we don't anticipate for that long a period of time.
Okay. So third question, what's the anticipated time to enter into a management agreement? End of the year?
End of the year, yes. That's our goal.
Right. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay.
Thank you, Kurt.
Mr. Hodge?
I just wanted to say it's about time. And, you know, having the technical background, and I would say you really don't realize the importance of the city having that fiber laying across the city, and it's been dormant for so many years. It's really just been a waste of money, to be honest with you. I mean, it's really, for, being a techie and seeing that, you kind of, it really drops your jaws. But having someone to come and take it and work with it and utilize it, that will maybe draw others to come in and do the same. That is a real valuable piece of asset, and city manager probably couldn't count how many times. You don't have enough toes and fingers to count how many times I've talked to him about we need to do something with that fiber out there. And that's from a technical aspect, because it's just a big waste of money to the city to let all of that fiber just lay across the city and do nothing, dormant. That's like the most valuable thing the city could have ever done, and it's just necessary to have that. And I'm glad to see somebody who wants to take the liberty to utilize it. And then from the economic development standpoint, again, you have a business that will be able to boost our economic situation just because that is available, that service will be available. You got companies like AT&T, who's been in the phone business forever, or is doing voice over IP right now. And that's one of the things I've been trying to get the city to do, voice over IP telephone service, and that is the wave of the future. So you don't realize how far ahead that we will be by utilizing that particular service and having someone to come in and do that for us. And the fiber, doing it through fibers instead of circuits, and he mentioned Bell South still uses the circuit system. They haven't completely transferred over to the voice over IP system yet. Is so much cheaper to operate doing it that way, yet the reliability is so much more. So, being able to get a voice over IP telephone service in your home, Hurricane Andrew can come through here again and we'll still be able to get out because of that fiber sitting in our community and being connected to the outside world. So that is so much more important to be able to do that. And I have another engagement and I have to go. I just wanted to say my vote is yes.
Thank you, Mayor. Kurt, I have a question a couple of questions actually. One of the things that concerned me a little bit was that we're in the middle right now of dealing with two interested parties to assume the grant. Wouldn't those parties be able to do the same exact thing? Are we dividing the grant a bit? Are we watering it down? I mean, in the interested parties who want to come to the table with the grant, are we taking something away from them that they would want to come to the table and be able to do along with the grant? I mean, are we diluting that somewhat?
I don't think so. One is that this agreement will be absorbed by whoever, more than likely it's going to be assigned or absorbed by whoever ends up with the agreement. We caught somewhat in a timing situation where people need to get moving. And the last time we did that and we were back and forth with it, they just went on to Southern Bell and took the service, and we lost the capability there. So we were much more alert this time to the time sensitiveness. And as always, we always, like I say, have a little catch-22 going on. Our partner fell out. Now we got to get another partner, and we're working on that. And I think, and we advise both of the people who are applying, that we know of, that are applying for the management of this ring, that we would do this, and none had any objections to that.
One of the parties is here, and they called me today that they knew nothing about this. So that's why I'm kind of perplexed. I'm not doubting your word, but I'm just confused, I guess, if you will, because they said they knew nothing about it, and then I just heard you say that, which I assume they would be informed, especially if they're looking to assume a grant. So I have no idea what's going on with that.
My name is Glenn Williams, 128 Northwest 15th Street.
Ed Dixon, 465 Southeast 21 Line.
And I would like to go on record as stating that I was never informed that they were planning to lease 3 pairs of the fiber optic ring at any time, nor was the company that I represent informed, via phone call, email, or letter.
I'll respond to that, Mark. I mean, maybe no one talked to you. I don't think you're the only one involved, but...
In talking to these gentlemen's company and also the other party who are looking to go ahead and take on the management of the ring, we had said all along that we would be looking at leasing out fibers, that this was something that we would be doing, but it's something that we wouldn't want to keep doing. I mean, the city does not want to be in the fiber leasing business. We're looking for a partner to take over and run the operation from us. And the only thing that we do as far as keeping fibers and using them, the city has always said that we would keep 12 of the 48 fibers for public sector use, i.e. police, fire, things of that nature, and we will continue to do that. But the other fibers are strictly a commercial application, and these should be going to whoever comes in and manages the agreement. The city does not want or intend to go ahead and parcel that out.
Well, I agree with that, except for the fact that now the city is negotiating the price instead of the person who's going to be managing the ring. And they're dictating the terms upon which that'll be assumed. And we therefore have lost any ability to negotiate with that party until the end of that agreement.
I think, first of all, the city owns the ring. This is our prerogative to do this. Mayor and council can approve it, not approve it. I think, Ed, you knew basically about what we were doing, as far as we talked about leasing this out. Was that a problem? We did get no indication that that was a problem. Maybe the detail was not thought out on the part until your attorney, heard about it, because I don't think Mark talked to you maybe specifically, but Ed's been the front man for your group because he's local. I'm saying this is the lease we have. We recommend it. We don't think that it'll be a competitive disadvantage. Maybe you disagree. That's not the intent. But we went forward thinking there was no issue. Now we got an issue. And when do I hear we have an issue? Right now. That's not right either. So can I be pissed off too? I just want to say that.
You can't be as mad as me because you get paid a lot more.
Okay. I'll be half as mad as you. No, I'm just teasing. But I just don't think that is something we expected, and we felt everybody was on board with this. And we're moving forward. We're going to put the invitation to negotiate. You guys are going to be in it. We anticipate that
Mr. Madigan, I think it was an impact, then apparently the company would not be interested in pursuing the contract. So I don't see where there's an issue. Until we negotiate the contract, we have the right to lease, to proceed with your recommendations. So I don't see an issue with this. What I do, my question was to you, Mark, are we maximizing our opportunity to generate revenue from this fiber? I heard the gentleman earlier talked about, typically you have to go through Bell South to do it. Now he's not. You don't have that cost because we have it. Are we truly maximizing with the cost being prohibited if he had to go through Bell South? And if not, as Mr. Laws was saying, the lease arrangement is you're pretty comfortable with that amount of dollars for the next 2 or 3 years.
Mr. Mayor, if they were going through Bell South, they would be paying Bell South more money, but they would be responsible for no maintenance or location or anything else. I mean, it would be the same thing as you just renting your telephone. Everything else falls onto Bell South, and Bell South has the manpower and the infrastructure to guarantee them the uptime that they need to run the operation. So therefore, the price that we came up with, the lower price, reflects that where they're going to have to go ahead and maintain this until somebody else relieves them of the responsibility. And in the lease, you will notice that when they are relieved of the responsibility, the price per fiber goes up significantly.
Well, if they're immediately released responsibility upon assumption of that agreement, then that means that the party that comes to manage the ring is liable for any injuries to the fiber or any problems that might have been created, any loss of warranties, or anything like that, and that will fall on the shoulders of the company that is now coming to manage the ring.
And that's absolutely true, and that is the way our agreement was structured with the prior participating party. The management marketing agreement turns the operation and all maintenance and all marketing, and basically they run the ring for us. And that is the way it was, and that is the way it's intended to be, is that when a person comes in, for them fulfilling the grant responsibilities for the city by creating the jobs and marketing and managing the ring, they also assume all the maintenance responsibilities of that ring as well. And that's in the agreement, the last agreement that we had.
Right. Well, I agree with the fact that the new company will have the responsibility to keep the maintenance up and to market and manage the ring. But what I'm saying is, in the interim, you have another company who's in there, and now you're alleviating them of any potential liability, and it's going to fall on to the new manager of the ring.
You'll have to explain to me what liability you're talking about.
If there's any loss of warranties, anything that happens to the fiber that could potentially harm it, microbends, for example, if the fiber is bent in any way, warranties, as I had already reiterated, that's a concern.
Mr. Mayor, the only concern with fiber is very much like electrical cable or water conduit. Before anybody were to take over the marketing and management of the ring, they run what they call signal tests, signal strength tests on the fiber. And we ran these tests when the fiber was built and installed, so we know what the degradation was on the day that it was turned over initially new to us. We would never expect somebody to come on board and take over marketing and management without rerunning those tests so that they know what they have. So there is no issue, I don't believe, in that arena.
And as you negotiate with this company, those things will be stipulated in the agreement, and either they accept it or reject it. But I don't think we need to discuss this issue about prior notice to them. We have no agreement, no contract, nothing. You have not even negotiated or talked to them about finalize anything, is what I'm saying.
I don't think, I don't think we're discussing whether the city has the right or not the right to do something with the fiber. I don't think that's not what our concern is. I think that one of our concerns with the fiber is we have come to the city a few months ago. We also had a meeting with the city stating that we can be up and running after an approval in a certain amount of time, which also could have fulfilled all the grant requirements, not requiring the city to ask for an extension. We made that quite clear. Now what's happening is, according to our schedules, we received a phone call approximately 2 weeks ago stating that another company was going to be awarded the fiber. After making a couple phone calls to the city to talk to Linda Bell, and a few hours later we were informed that there would be an ITN, invitation to negotiate. When we were told that, they said it might take 10 to 12 days to put it together to send it into the newspaper. That was what we were told. 10 to 12 days would have made it on the 26th of August is the approximate date, give or take a few days. From that point, there would be a 12-day window that it would be shut off for any company, people that would like to put in to negotiate for the strands of fiber. That would have brought us out another 12 days. Then from there, I do not know the time frame that would take for the city to make a decision to bring it to this meeting with a recommendation, then bring it to council for approval. I can't tell you that time. That's not something I know. But we could have well met the requirements and possibly hit the dates before, if I'm not mistaken, I want to say the first week of December, so that the city did not have to ask for an extension on the fiber grant. And we were one of the two companies that I know of that were willing to come in here and try to achieve that goal for the city and for the community. That's one of the things that we had talked about, and that was our biggest thing, trying to meet the requirements to the city
and for the people who live in the city, so that the city didn't have to either reapply for an extension or to not, if they did reapply and didn't get accepted, have to, pay for whatever requirements were to be paid for on the grant. We were talking about economic development. We were talking about doing different things with the fiber. This gentleman that was here, that was up just before me, said some great things of what can be done with that fiber. If a management company were to go in there and want to do the identical things, they're in competition with each other, and they're required to lease that fiber to that, the management company is required to lease the fiber to them, to the company, and be in competition with them, which to me, as a business person, doesn't make any sense. Why would I want to be in competition with someone that I don't want to be in competition with, that I don't need to be in competition with, for the same exact product? That's one thing. The second thing is, we talk about strands of fiber. There are 36 strands of fiber available according to what the city is saying. We understand that. We've accepted that. But the question that I have is, why 6 strands of fiber? How much broadband width do they need? How much bandwidth do they need? That's a more important question than the strands of fiber.
Mayor. I was just saying, that was my question too. The first thing I thought of with, not that we don't need to do this, but why are we doing this now when we're entertaining the closure of the grant process? And when I asked you, does it compromise the grant? I'm kind of torn that.
Does not compromise.
Does it not bring in competition against itself?
It does not compromise the grant. Let me just say a couple of things. Notwithstanding that we did say that we were going to do this, and we didn't get any of what we have right now as far as objecting to this, so we moved forward. But let me say that we were way down the road with the first group and negotiated, done a partner agreement already because nobody else was in the picture. The second company, Ed's company, came in much later than the first company we were dealing with. We were on track with the grant and our extension with this first company because we didn't know there was another company. Then, because we hadn't finalized it, Ed and the group came up. They wanted to compete. And at one time, I'm going like, okay, what do I do here? And I said, well, look, we've got 2 companies. I'll make 1 and then 2. If I can't negotiate with one, then I'll go to the second one. And I was going to go with the one we had been down this road with for a period of time. But it's a good point. We have 2 companies vying for it. We put out an invitation to negotiate. We may have 5 companies after we put out the invitation to negotiate. It's a possibility. So that's when we decided not to move forward. And actually, unfortunately, with Ed and these guys, is that, not unfortunately for Ed and the guys, but when they talk about using or delaying the grant, we just delayed the grant now to do the IMP, the invitation to negotiate, and go through that process. And to put the scope together, make sure we have the right scope, put the boilerplate from purchasing, do the advertisement, do the legal review. All of this takes time.
But Kurt, with all due respect, I think we should have done an ITN in the first place. I mean, we should always have an invitation to negotiate when you're going to have something like this, to assume the grant. And competition is a good thing. It's a wonderful thing. And I don't have a problem, and I'm not necessarily in favor of any one company. I'm not partial to one over another, but I'm just saying, bring all interested parties to the table, you're going to get a better product.
Well, I think that's a true statement, but in theory, where we were at the point, we lost Roman. We had no one that we knew of other than we had one step up that decided they wanted it, and that's the only one we had. We went with it because of the grant.
Right, but people weren't aware of it. I mean, there may be multiple companies out there that would just jump on it, but there was no invitation to negotiate, so you had one step up, but where was the advertisement that we had a fiber optic ring grant to be taken over?
Well, I mean, we've had the other fiber optic in, and we've tried to market that, and that's never happened. Now we got the ring as a second item that's in. And I think that what we did is we grasped the one we had because we wanted to get this grant back into operation. So we did, and we took the first one that we had there that was going to take over and solve our issue with the grant. It's true, if we'd put an annotation, we might have and we might not have, we didn't know, because nobody's bid on our other fiber for a period of time. It's been several years. So we took what we had in the bush, in a hand rather than in the bush at the moment. Mark, did you want to say something?
Mark, Mr. Mayor, council members, I just have something to share with everybody, just maybe help understand what's going on. Mark been going back and forth, talk to me about doing locations for the fiber optic, and we try to look at a third party to do locations for us, and it was cost prohibitive to have somebody come from outside and do locations for us. So we try to do it in-house. I can tell you that we receive a request from the union to upgrade their positions to do locations that will cost us in excess of $12,000 a year to just do locations, and that will stay permanent if the upgrade takes place. We need to agree to it, but that was a request on the table. And also, I'd just like to remind everybody, this is I've been working for the city for 10 years. This is the shortest term ever we enter into. It's 2 years only. And if a third party takes over the management agreement, they only have to honor it for the rest of the term. They don't have to be stuck with it forever. And that's all of my comments.
I just want to say where I think staff, and of course you as councils want to make this decision, is that we've got an invitation to negotiate going out. We feel, evidently we did, but we feel like we communicated to both parties what we were doing, and at the time before when we proceeded, we didn't have any of these questions come up until tonight. I think we should, my recommendation is that we move forward. We'll move forward with the invitation to negotiate, and everybody knows what's going on in terms of the parties that are here, the two that we know of, what the deal is, and they'll make their decision on what they want to do and negotiate an agreement. We move forward. Like you say, we may have 3 or 4. I don't know what'll happen from our invitation to negotiate, but at any rate, I just think every time we try to move forward, something comes from the side, come over here, and there's a competing deal. I think we just need to move forward, stay the course. It's our fiber ring. We can do what we want with it until we tie it up with somebody. So, that...
Mr. Porter?
This fiber, when we started on this thing about 7 or 8 years ago, it was always a quality of life and economic engine driven for the city. And it's been dark, sitting there dormant ever since it's been actually laid in the ground. We were all excited when we were digging and putting it in place. And at some point in time, we need to give that benefit to the community back through the quality of life issues that it'll create for us. Because that fiber ring, that redundant fiber ring is really a valuable asset in that industrial area that we have out east. And I certainly would hope that we would go ahead and proceed with something that would make some sense to get something going on that ring, as opposed to just sitting here with nothing. That's just my comments, Mayor. And we talk about competition, so competition is good. So if there's somebody on the ring, and Ed and his group are able to come in there, there's competition there, so it keeps everybody on track.
I agree.
Thank you.
Any other comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
1 no. 2 noes. Item 2E, Special Event Funds, tab 6.
Can I just move it?
Mr. Mayor and Council,
Can I just move it?
Yeah.
Moved by Mr. Porter, is there a second?
Second, Mayor.
Second by Ms. Garner.
Question.
Any question on the, Mr. Losner?
I'd like to ask whoever can tell me, was the Rodeo Association an applicant in this mix?
No.
Mr. Lasser, no.
Okay, because I'm looking here and I see that only 2 events got the full requested funding. One is, with a track record and a tradition, and the other is new. I wanted to make sure that, clarify whether or not something with a long history and track record here had not been left out of the mix.
We will have another opening for grants to be considered starting October 1. We funded $20,000 for fiscal year
0506.
Well, the name of number 7 got my attention. What is that? Is that something new?
Holiday Fantasy. Holiday Fantasy.
That's the word.
Yes.
Holiday, right?
The Holiday
We need a
Fantasy
humorous break.
was South Dade Expressions Dance Company.
Okay,
They
very
have a
good.
function in December.
Okay, very good. Thank you, that's all, Mayor.
Vice Mayor Bell and then Ms. Woolman.
I have one question. When we give these grants, is there any follow-up to make sure that the funds were implemented in the proper way that they said, like neighborhood cleanup and homeless feeding ministry? Do we just have any paperwork or any documentation that says that they did what they said that they were going to do?
Vice Mayor Bell, members of council, that particular grant was not funded. It did not meet the parameters of the guidelines of the grant. The mission actually, set was to enhance the quality of life of our citizens, to entertain requests by various nonprofit groups that would come forward with festivals, parades, things of that nature that would benefit both spectators and citizens. We recommended to that particular group, we're going to give him some names of social service agencies where he may be able to tap into some funding. We also recommended that the gentleman contact Commissioner Moss and possibly Commissioner Sorensen, because their group originates out of Gould's, even though they service the whole South Dade area.
Good, because the title is Special Events Committee.
Correct.
Okay, so we're staying to the integrity of the whole idea.
Yes.
And of course, we know that there was an ag festival. We know that there's follow-up there because those events took place, obviously.
These people have to come in and fill in actually a contract that states that they have to meet all the parameters of the grant. They have to have the name of Homestead in their brochures, etc. And it's a matching grant, so they have to come in with their receipts that shows that they match the funds.
Thank you.
And if I might, Marlene, isn't some of this an interdepartmental transfer? For example, we require a certain level of police protection.
That's
and to some
correct.
extent, these grants are utilized to cover the cost of
That's
the extra
correct.
police protection.
Exactly.
So it's almost like a fund transfer, if you will, to address your concern.
Sort of, yes. It helps the
In effect.
particular organization, meet their expenses.
All right.
Helps with the police.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Mayor Warren?
Ms. Woolman.
Yes, when I first came to the city and we talked about implementing this again, as I understand we had this many years ago, this particular program, for the public, I just want to know what the process was as to how you let the people know, the entities know that they had the right to apply for these grants, and also how many actual applications did you receive? All of the, Councilman Walden, members of council, all of the applicants were listed on the back of the greenie. And as far as advertising, there was an advertisement placed in the newsletter. There were ads, there were letters in our newspaper, there were news releases. We really put it out to the community that we had these special event grants. So what you're saying to me is that the 7 that were granted grants were the 7 applicants? No, they weren't all granted dollars. There was one that was not. And they were not all granted the amount that they had requested. Oh, I see what you said with the neighborhood cleanup and homeless feeding ministry.
So with the exception of number 1, everybody who applied.
And I've already received 1, 2, 3 for the next grants that will start in October. Okay, thank you very much. Good job.
Let me ask another question. I think the Vice Mayor mentioned, do we issue checks to these organizations? I think Steve or someone was, some that say pay their own police and cleanup, do we just write a check to them for a certain amount, for the amount that the Special Event Committee awarded?
If it's for, Mayor, members of council, if it's for, they come with receipts for, say, police, they had to pay the police, say, $2,000, and they were granted $2,000, we would have to write the request out to the police department, whether it was off-duty or just regular. Or if it was public works for barricades, we would do the transfer of funds to them to cover their expenses.
So most of the expenses are related to city service as required So we can pretty much account for what we're doing.
Insurance and police.
Insurance, police, that kind of thing.
Yes, and in some instances, they don't, need police or something. It would be to cover their insurance or their brochures or their advertising.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
And before you move, Steve Shiver, Global Technology Partners, 47 North Chrome, and Main Street President. I first want to say it's kind of awkward being on this side of the table when we started this special events fund many, many years ago. I think Marlene's sitting around talking about all of the overwhelming number of people coming to us for money at one point in time. You had to put a number on it and a finite amount at that. So now we're here. So now I'm asking for money. So it's a different perspective. But you know that on the 19th of November, Main Street, in conjunction with the Homestead Miami Speedway, Miami-Dade County, the News Leader, Thunder Country, Art South, and a host of other local businesses are doing a race fest on Main Street. In fact, we've been coordinating with the track to ensure that traffic patterns and things like that are not affected. It'll be Saturday after the concert. For years, we have been trying to capture some of the race fans to showcase Homestead in our downtown historic district. We feel that we've come up with a way that will do that. The track, in an unprecedented move, has really blessed this event with us, and will also be announcing the event, will allow us to advertise the event Saturday there at the racetrack. We'll be providing a tram back and forth to the location, and in concert we'll have Joe Diffie, Ricochet, and an appearance by Miss Florida, which is a large country base which typically appeals to the NASCAR fan. In doing that, Main Street, in conjunction with Thunder Country and the others that I listed, are applying for grants everywhere. TEC grants, we've gotten in front of them. In fact, we've got one coming up now for $25,000. But I have, as president of Main Street, got to execute a contract by September 1st to ensure the talent that we have engaged. That requires an advance of $12,000. We are, I believe, in your current budget talked about earlier today, Main Street is funded at a level of, Rick, if you can help me, do you recall?
$62,000.
$62,000. Everything that we do is on an advance. I mean, when you advance us money, we pay typically and you reimburse us. Unfortunately, we just don't have this fund at this time to do it. We're trying our best to get community participation. Everyone, I think, around this room can appreciate the fact when I say that the business community has been tapped over and over again by various organizations, and I plead with you to allow us to work with your staff to come up with a way to advance the $12,000. If so, I'm going to go out on a limb, Pat and Yvonne Knowles, and my vice president here in the audience. If we can't secure grant funds, I would say that we would take it out of our CRA funds for next year. But I really believe that this is the first, most aggressive festival that we have done in conjunction with the track since its opening in 1995 or 6, I think was the first year. And I believe the excitement that we have seen from the people that we've talked to thus far has really been positive. And I would like an opportunity to work with your staff in advancing those funds so that we can get it started and at least sign the contract by September 1st.
Mayor Warren.
Ms. Warman?
I'm very excited about this.
Wait a minute, I'm sorry. Very important. We have asked Ms. Waldman to be the honorary chair of this event for us, and I forgot to say that. I don't know if Pat had asked you that yet.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes,
Pat,
I'm working on it already.
Perfect. Well, wonderful. We're glad that you're part of that as well.
Yes, I'm working on it already, and I can tell you that the grants that we've applied for are just amazing, and I feel very confident that it's just going to be a matter of just, like you say, you have to advance, we need to advance the funds just so that we can get the ball started, and then it'll just go back in one way or the other. So I'd like to ask that we at least allow Main Street to work with Kurt Ivy on this and see what we can do. It's going to be huge.
Any other comments?
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Lawton?
Kurt, was this even a discussion that should have been had here tonight at the table, or was it something you could have handled among staff and
think you got a $10,000 limit, don't you?
Well, you upped that for me.
Oh, we did.
I could've-
Well, you did, but I mean, they've offered to deduct next year's CRA. You know what I mean?
Mr. Losner, I wouldn't put the manager on the spot like that. Having sat in his position before, I mean, if you don't have direction from this council, I personally would have felt uncomfortable going to him without some direction from this council, or at least a blessing to negotiate it. I'm sorry.
Well, but
It's a
I think
very
it's probably,
precarious
the
position
question's
for
probably a
everybody.
surprise to staff. Was that
We haven't discussed this.
No.
I mean, typically at council meetings, when people come forward and bring problems to council, we defer it back to staff to deal with it, and they come back. So what's the difference between that situation and this? Oh, yeah, if you can
I'd be
work-
happy to deal with it.
Look, if you can work it out, fine, but, you know.
But that's what I'm asking,
Just don't know about it.
Mr. Losner, that's what I'm asking, is if you would direct the manager to work with us to find out a way that it would work. I'm not asking at this point for you to give us carte blanche. I'm asking to help us work through it. And in fact, that's why I recommended the solution that I said, that if we're unable to secure grant funds to satisfy this, that we would bank it against our CRA allocation that I think you talked about earlier today.
Well, that's the first thing that came to my mind when you were talking. If you don't do it, let's...
Absolutely, sir. I mean, we don't... Look,
If that's appropriate...
For one of the first times, I have seen Main Street get some traction. There are events taking place, there's activity going on downtown. Having, I think, Pat McLeod has been a remarkable thing for this community. Having the participation from the CRA and Rick Stouts and others has been just a good turn of events for downtown. So we don't want to come to you. I've been in your shoes when people have come to you begging and pleading. I came with solutions, and hopefully we'll be able to get this done. We want to make you proud. I mean, if we're not successful in convincing this council and your staff that we are prudent and viable to invest in, because that's what you're doing, you're not going to do it next year. So it's our job to make you shine, and that's what we want to do. So tonight, I'm asking if you'll help us advance the funds so I don't have to write a check, or I go to a businessman to write a check. I mean, this business community is tapped. I would like the opportunity to work with your staff. If we can't satisfy it, if we can't get the grants as we say we're going to do, we'll take it out of the CRA.
The manager's willing, Steve, so you all work it out, and if there's any problem, then you all can come back to us.
Mayor, this is probably an appropriate time for me to mention this event as well, just to show how far we've moved with Main Street. I was contacted, Pat, about 10 days ago by ABC, because as you know, there's a new television show that's coming on in the fall. I believe the premiere is the 16th of September. Is that right, Pat? I don't have my notes. And it's called Invasion, and I can't believe it's going to be great. It's the trailers on the television is unbelievable. I mean, it's like every time I turn on television on that particular station, ABC, it's on, and it's all about Homestead. Everything is about Homestead. Sean Cassidy wrote the screenplay, and I've been in contact with Sean and his wife, and they talked to me about maybe doing a premiere event. Well, they asked me for a venue. Well, of course, my main thought was Art South, and you know, with Pat's connections with Main Street. And sure enough, we get a phone call today. Pat called me, and ABC has complied, and our premiere is going to be September 9th, and it will be at the Sanctuary, which I'm now told to call the theater, which I keep saying the Sanctuary. But it's going to be a huge event, and it's going to be a downtown event, and hopefully all of the merchants and everyone will be on board. And with Pat's ability to include Art South right side by side with Main Street, it's going to be a fantastic event. So we've really come leaps and bounds, you know, with what we're doing, and all of you will be hearing more and more about this premiere, and it's going to be fun. But again, that's why I encourage you to allow this to at least start to some dialogue between the manager and Main Street.
Mr. Mayor, we'll be happy to work with them, and I'm confident that they'll be able to work it out. One last request. You do have a vacancy coming up with the movement of the Chamber of Commerce to the Lily Lawrence Bow Library, and I think that is a very commendable move. By the way, the Chamber is going to have a really nice base, but we would like to see the second floor of the chamber that they're vacating that area. We would respectfully ask Main Street be a part of filling that, because of our office location now is a cage in the back of the museum, and it's not very
And it is a cage.
appropriate. It is a cage. It really is a cage. It's a jail. It's an old jail cell. And Pat doesn't wear stripes, so she shouldn't be in the jail. But we would respectfully ask that you allow the manager to at least enter discussions with us on occupying that with Vision Council, I would assume.
Mayor, also, was 1 September when you needed the money?
Yes.
That's pretty close. If we do something with CRA in which they advance the money, we might want to reconvene a HERO tonight if you want to deal with that.
Well, our TDC grant hearing is when? Are they scheduled it yet? It'll be in October. So it'll be after your next, your October 1 new budget year.
Well, my point being,
Could you put on the next council agenda?
If the council is so interested, if you wanted to reconvene as the HERO board and give the staff direction, we could loan today, well, not today, but now, the Main Street program, the $12,000 they need to be paid back out of their next year's allocation after October 1. But it would have to be the HERO board instructing us to do that or authorizing us to do that, not the city council.
And the next council meeting is too late.
Well, if he needs it September 1st, there is no more meeting between now and then of any kind.
Okay, well, let's complete the committee of the whole and we'll reconvene the HERO board.
Thank you.
Mr. Porter?
Can the people that are in the room tonight obligate the Main Street organization for that total repay?
Yes, sir. We'll go out on a limb to say that.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Finally, all in favor of the special event grant fund, say aye. Opposed? Annexation application 2F.
I'll move it.
Something I'm looking forward to see.
I'm moving it.
I'll second it.
Moved by the Vice Mayor, second by Councilman Losner. Any question on annexation? Mr. Manager, want to just share with the public what we're doing here?
Just a couple of things, and it may not be necessary. Henry was here and had to run down to Florida City. He was going to come back if we wanted to postpone it. But I think I can say a few things, and there's questions I can answer then between myself and Rick. Well, I don't think there will be, but we put in applications for both what we call the Northwest 2 area, which there's a map attached, and the East 1 area. The East 1 area does not include the Homestead Air Reserve Base. We are working on an E2 to include the Homestead Air Reserve Base. These are lands adjacent to the air base. I just want to say that when we started this, we had a number of people contact and express interest. In the West, we have all the letters, and one of our components was to have people request it. And we've got the Northwest 2 done. We have those letters. The thing I'd say about the Northwest 2, there's one area there was a resident. There's a resident there. I think they have four registered voters in this whole area. It's because it's mostly vacant land.
Well, there's a house that's surrounded by...
Yeah, there's a house that we've enclaved, so we've added it in. And that person would not want to come into the city, I just want to say that. But we added it in because we enclaved it, and we'll see what happens from there. But we do know that that person would be hostile to that being coming into the city. But otherwise, we've enclaved that person, and we may have a similar situation in the white little indented area, even though that's the portfolio number, rather.
One house.
Yeah. The one house there. We may have a similar area, and we're going to try again to talk to that person. In terms of the East, we had 70 different property owners, I think, involved in the East. Not everyone has responded back to us, so as what we're asking for is to be able to put the application in, but we'll come back with another map. We've given them a deadline, and then we're going to move without them if they don't send their letters in. So there may be a change on the property is where I'm going with this on the map, and we'll, as soon as we tally that for sure. Today was the deadline. What's it, the 23rd? 24th was the deadline.
But we won't proceed on the East except on those where they have signed off to be brought
Exactly. And where, as of tomorrow, where the people who've decided to come with us. So we will probably have a little reconfiguration of acreage and that kind of thing, and we'll be prepared to do that. We're also working on the East 2, which is air reserve base, because I want that to move quickly as well.
Well, and Kurt, I was say again, I think, I expect that based on our history, the Northwest 1, Northwest 2 will go fairly well. And I'll leave it to Mr. Eiler's expertise and your discretion that I don't want new controversy over the east side to delay our west side efforts. And we've got to be real clear that if east will defeat west, we're going to have to cut the east off or take a separate track until we have the Northwest.
And that's why we have them in like East 1, Northwest 1, Northwest 2, East 1, then there'll be East 2, because if the county doesn't want to give us the air reserve base, then they can cut that from, and we kind of modularized it. Okay.
Thank you.
And what's the status on the one that we have in the pipeline now?
I was just going to ask. Been a lot of discussion about that. We're trying to get it calendared, and Commissioner Sejas is in charge of that.
Well, Richard, no.
Yeah.
I mean, they're buddies. I mean, it shouldn't be an issue.
But we're working on that with Joe Ruiz, but he also recommended we get the rest in because as we played by the rules, we waited, we only put one proposal in, one application in. They asked us to wait for the conflict resolution. We did that. Redland, who was one of the big proponents, ended up suing them, so they really cooperated. And now they're asking us why we only put one in after they asked us not to put them in. So, the right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing in that case.
Vice Mayor?
That's exactly what I was going to say. When I went on behalf of the Dunnigan annexation to testify downtown Miami, and that's the very thing that they stated, that if this is such a good idea, why are you only annexing this one parcel? Why are you annexing all of this? And so actually what we were trying to do to work for us, they used to work against us. So we need to go for all of it next time, and I want to make a note of that. And where are we on the Dunnigan annexation?
I'm sorry?
The Dunnigan annexation?
That's waiting to be calendared. It's gone through more than this has. It's ready to be calendared, but I'm hoping when they say we've put in for the rest of it, and there has been questions, well, you're concerned about enclaving further west.
Right.
I don't get that, but I don't think that's a... But of course, I'm not making that argument, but I don't think it's a good argument. But we've already told them that if they want to make an assignment to us for that area, we'd gladly accept it. So that might shut that down a little bit.
So we might be making some downtown Miami field trips for speaking on behalf of our
annexations again. Always say there's no end to our joy.
Yeah. Okay.
When should we start talking with our two local commissioners about this effort before?
Once we get this in, we will get with council and brief them.
Okay.
Maybe do a workshop on it.
Okay, good. Any other comments? Good, we're moving forward. Good. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay.
I'll be back.
We are now on Roman numeral 4A is purchase of substation equipment and material, tab A.
Mayor and Council, this is a request to buy equipment for the two substations. This will complete the substation equipment requirements except for some relays and a control house that has to be placed on the sites. So this request will provide all the structures and equipment, maintenance, and
is there motion
materials, rather.
Moved by Mr. Porter, second by the Vice Mayor. Any question on this item? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Too bad.
I know.
This money is coming from the $8 million.
I just want to know, it says if performance bond is required, add $13,000 to overall price. Is a performance bond required?
What we did, you'll see that we budgeted $1.185, which includes the performance bond and a couple of circuit breaker switchers that weren't there.
Thanks.
Again, this comes out of the $8 million, by the way, that we had borrowed that we have in the bank.
Precious Icon, mobile collector and resolution, tab 9.
Could you explain what that is, too?
I think it has something to do with utility problems.
Glad you asked.
Meter reading.
Tells us a drive-by shooting.
Yeah.
Pad on the magneto, it tells us.
I'll move it because it makes sense.
Moved by Mr. Porter, is that second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Wallman.
Because Mr. Porter says it makes sense.
It's like I'll just say, we're going to we're in the process of going from meter reading where you actually physically have to read the meter, and then we did a step up with the Itron to where we could get, they could walk and get the signal. This is, again, we're putting in, and we've been doing this for 3 or 4 years now, putting in automated meter reading in there that will allow us at some point to just drive a vehicle down the road and it will automatically register all these meter readings for us electronically. We are on the east side of the new homes, have put all those new meters in. Of course, there's a cost to this, but we will recover the cost because these meters are much more accurate than the older meters, and they'll be to the fact that they're new meters as well. So we lose revenue because these meters don't register everything, and we think that we'll make up this money just by the fact that we have new meters. But it goes beyond that. It's an efficiency issue for us to do this. Our challenge is we got to go back and retrofit other parts of the city that don't have the AMRs, and we have to do it both with electric and water, and we have to do those concurrently. Pick a route, and where we put the AMR electric meter, we have to put a water meter so that we finish a whole route with both of them there rather than just having one of them electronic and the other not, because we have to cover it twice. Now, this also includes a mapping system which is going to help us at GIS in locating where all our meters are. You run your report. It will tell you what meters you didn't read, and if they're AMR meters, then it means something's wrong, and it will trigger you to go out and repair or see what's wrong with that meter. There's a lot of advantages to this, and we're working on. We've got right now 12,450 electric meters, and about we've got about 10,000 water meters remaining to be done. Water meters are were started later than the electric meters.
I see we are moving forward with technology. Now, one area that, how far away are we from turn-on, turn-offs? And with technology, instead of having to call someone to come on and turn it on, and we need to look at that. And I don't know whether it costs us to do it, but it's...
Mike has been working on that.
I've gotten, and I want to publicly thank Marlene, because I call Marlene at home more often about turn-ons and turn-offs, and we had a situation this past weekend that could have been a public nightmare if we didn't correct it. I don't know whether she shared that with you, but when I get a call from the Herald and get a call from the public health and about a turn-off, that the bill was paid, and we didn't turn it on before we end the day, and it was a challenge because I of course called late when it's Saturday night, Marlene. So it can be a customer service nightmare. We just need to proceed. If there's technology out there that could help us do it better and faster and more efficient, I think we need to at some point invest in it and make it happen.
Mr. Mayor, council members, you beat me to it. Actually, Marlene is a part of the automation system we have for... But we are talking to companies that for the electric system, there is a way to turn it on and off remotely. They don't have it for water, but we are looking at it very seriously. It's very expensive, but we're trying to implement a pilot program when the time is right to deal with this issue.
This purchase is very timely. I was reminded yesterday by a group of builders that while most of the construction in East Homestead has been in FPL territory, we are about to move into some major residential construction on the east side that falls within the city of Homestead's territory. I'm assuming that we're going to require those builders to put in meters that are compatible with this reading system. But we're going to, I think, probably over the next year, see a major influx of new Homestead electric utility customers come online as the Oasis, Renaissance, Baywinds projects all begin to take shape. I venture to say that, probably 90% or more of what's been done has been in FPL territory.
Mr. Lasner, council members, like Kurt mentioned earlier, all the new growth, practically since 2 years, everything is automated.
And I think it highlight the need for that master plan I talked about a couple of weeks ago. I know we got master plans going on, but as we kind of finalize some of them, that you really need to take a look at a comprehensive master plan for our utility.
We need the master plan. We need the master plan to organize our master plans.
Mayor.
But it's critical.
That was a good point, Mr. Lawson. I mean, I hope that we are making sure that they're putting in the updated equipment. But I just wanted to say that I had a situation about a month ago that was a very serious situation. The gentleman was on oxygen and their power was cut off, and I mean, I didn't know what to do. And finally, we were able to get it back on, but it was a very bad situation. So I think the mayor's right on target there, that we have to address this, and it was a serious event. Could have been a disastrous event for the city. So, and as I find out now, there's a program in place that when you are, just so the public knows, when you are on oxygen or when you have life-threatening, that you need to register with our power plant and our customer service and let them know, so that if anything, God forbid, happens and their address is brought up or targeted, that there is leniency. Correct, Mike?
That's correct. We have people who have medical tag. They will be the circuits where they're on will be addressed first. They will be in top priority. And also I'd like to mention that the county also has a program through NMS, local mitigation strategy, for people who have situation like this to be registered with the county. And I'm not sure exactly how they do it, but I don't know if they give them a generator or something, so they give them priority in case of a disaster, and there is no power to be able to continue this issue.
Mr. Rosen, you might want to mention that in your next article or something, because I didn't know that, and my mother's on oxygen. She happens to be on FPNL, but it's very important. And this particular little couple, they were just devastated. They didn't know what to do. And as it turned out, it was just a goof. It was just something that happened in the system. But to know that if you can register and you can have your meter tagged with a medical tag, I think is so important. And I was happy to find out from my mom with FPNL. So I appreciate the city's very cooperative manner in that. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Wallman. Any other comments? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Park and Rec, Ms. Wallman.
Oh, it's me. Yes, this is an agreement with Clark Davis and the City of Homestead to fill the departure of the Homestead Challenge with a to-be-named college baseball softball tournament. The tournament dates are February through April of 2006. Marlene, you might want to discuss the budgetary impact on this, since I had a chance to meet with this gentleman personally.
Councilman Waldman, the applicant, Mr. Davis, is in the audience here tonight. He came over from the West Coast. Oh. So if you would like to come to the podium and give, his background, and I believe it is something that he will pass out to all of you, then we'll go with the financial.
It looks like he's been to one of our meetings.
What I did is just want a resume.
Oh, thank you.
Resume my background. I'm part of the small for Southwest 30 Paris.
Thank you, Sheila.
Thank you.
Mr. Davis, would you like to, you're going to continue on with pretty much the same type of program as I understand, as the Homestead Challenge?
The difference would be college softball. College softball is bigger than college baseball. The facilities there, we have ample facilities to do college softball.
Terrific. Any questions for Mr. Davis?
Yeah. Mr. Davis, hi. Vice Mayor Dodds. It's nice to always meet the face behind the voice. Oh, good. So I'm glad everything worked out and we were able to get this here. Thank you very much for bringing this here. Appreciate it.
Any other questions?
I assume there's a typo on this use of Harris Field. Is this $1 per week or $1,000 per week?
That's 1,000. I think you missed a zero on that. I meant to bring that up.
I like that.
Yeah, what a difference a zero makes, right?
It's kind of like at the sale at the store, you have to honor that.
I'll move the recommendation.
Mr. Porter, I think was first on the second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passed. Thank you.
Public Safety Committee, Councilman Porter.
Just one item, Mayor. It's a mutual aid agreement. It's a standard agreement. Allows the Homestead PD to go into the city of Florida City and vice versa. How long is it? It's a 10-year?
2010.
2010.
5-year.
5-year, that's right. We're just following up. We just have an agreement that's expiring, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
We've had these for a number of years.
Right. Any discussion? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by the mayor, second by Ms. Garner. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Porter. Any business for the committee of the whole, Mr. Losner?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Briefly, you know, many of us had the opportunity to attend the Florida League of Cities conference this past weekend in Orlando, and in the brief few years I've had the opportunity to go, certainly it's the whole package, and, you know, the content of the presentations to the events put on by those who do business with us and those who want to do business with us were second to none. I will tell you that as we shared meal times and break times and meeting times with those that we met from all over the state of Florida, their primary issue was, what are you doing about schools? Everybody knows about Homestead, but you know, most of the state is enjoying the kind of growth and price increases that our community is, and you know, without fail, the common question was, what are you doing about education? And they were very interested to know about our innovations here with the EFBD, and education is a very comprehensive issue, and I just want everybody to know, and the Vice Mayor to know, that I stand here with her in shock and anger at the line of questioning and the budget year police department politics, I think, personally, that were being played here on her good faith and well-intentioned efforts to do something about a real problem. It's the safety of our children. It's the security of this community. And while the budget issues that were raised are relevant later, as we look at an agreement, when I think of the fluff that we deal with at this council level, I just want everybody to know that I whisper to her, welcome to my world, that good intentions and good faith sometimes suffer slings and arrows, and I don't want to leave any doubt that I was shocked and embarrassed and in sympathy for the manner in which the Vice Mayor's proposal was treated. We can all have reasonable differences of opinion, and I respect reasonable difference of opinion, but I think this went far beyond that. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Losner. Vice Mayor Bell?
Nothing, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Porter?
Well, I just have to say I put my issues on the record, just like I put them on the record. And it wasn't political anything. It was a matter of fact. And that's how I feel. It's my opinion. Take it, leave it, like it, don't like it. I put it on the record. No politics. Mayor, just the way it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Porter. Ms. Garner?
No business, Mayor. Thank you.
Ms. Wallman?
I just want to thank everybody for their cards and prayers. Since I had surgery about 3.5 weeks ago, and cancer-free survivor of breast cancer, get your mammograms. Thank you for all your good wishes. Thanks.
Thank you. Well, I want to compliment the staff for that beautiful newsletter that was put together. And I would like to find a way that we could disseminate it to the community, and I have no idea. Is there a way we could insert it in the Tribune or whatever? I just think it's just worth the community getting a copy of it. If you all could find a way to disseminate it, I mean, just have it sitting there. We got a copy of it and where it's going. If we can find a way to share it with the public, I think it would be very, very helpful.
Mayor, we'll research that.
It was well put together and some very good information. I think it'd be very helpful if we can get it out. Any other comments?
Patty did that, right?
I think for Patty, job well done. Job well done.
Thank you, Patty. It's good as usual.
Well, we had a very lively and spirited a meeting, and I think that's what it's all about. That, you know, we're not always going to agree. I think the resolution was approved unanimously, and I look forward to the plan that the Vice Mayor will bring back for our review and approval. But it will be on occasions where we're going to have a different viewpoint. We come from a different point of view about how we see things on this council, and I think it was everybody's comment was well received, and everyone had some concerns, and just want to make sure that we're not taking on the responsibility of the school board. And I don't think that was the intent of the resolution, and
there was no wording in there.
And I just hope that we come up with a plan that will address the issue, and that the city and the school board could work together to make it happen. Thank you all very much for coming. Any comments from the audience?
We're going to reconvene the CRA meeting, right?
Oh, yes. Let me in. You have a comment, Mayor? Go ahead.
Reconvene another meeting, please.
Go right ahead.
I just want to say thank you. I want to say thank you so much.
If you're going to speak, you need to, I'm sorry, you have to go to the podium.
Yes. The mic right here, Mary.
Just go to his microphone.
I just want to say I'm Mary Finland, I'm sorry. I live at 35 Northwest 19th Street. I work at 43 North Chrome, and I want to say that the building that I'm in right now, that the Chamber of Commerce is in, is a wonderful building, and I'm really happy that it's going to be going through a new renovation. And I want to say thank you, and I want to say, Mr. Losner, we are definitely going to go with the library theme, and we've already got a couple of minor collections that we're going to install there. So just wanted you to know that, and thank you.
Thank you for the work you're doing. Anything else? We will close the committee of the whole, and now we will reconvene the HERO board.
The clerk should just note that all members of the HERO board are here, with the exception of Mr. Hodge. Our suggestion after speaking with Rick is that you move to amend the contract. We have an existing contract between the CRA and Main Street that provides funding for the year. Our suggestion is that you amend the contract, this year's contract, to add $12,000 to the Main Street allocation, with the understanding that when the actual budget comes through, that $12,000 will be deleted from next year's budget, and so that it will end up even. So that would be the motion.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Lodge, second by the Vice Mayor. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting is over. Thank you all very much for coming up.